Now I'm going to take off this vacuum hose that goes to the brake booster over there. Just loosen that up and pull this hose off. Okay, I got that one off. Now there's two more hoses down there. Kind of hard to get in there. They need to be taken off. Those are the two going to the heater. Just loosen the clamps and wiggle them off. Alright, I got those two heater hoses off. Looking at the electrical wires, there's a main wire harness that comes down here. It goes down in the back there, and it goes all the way back up under this whole intake plenum. Comes out up here in front. So it has these wire ties on there. You got to find these metal ties. This one goes around to the oil sensor. All of that is going to stay connected to the car, so I need to unplug all of these wires. Okay, I got the oil sensor one, thermostat sensor wire. The wire tie right here needs to be unwrapped. We got the other temperature sensor over here. Some of these plugs can be so tricky to get them, figure out where you got to squeeze or poke to get them off. These two guys up here need to come off. Now, the way these two plugs work is on the bottom side. This is the way it's supposed to look on this blue one. Need to push really hard on these two and then pry it off with the other hand. Needs to be pushed in right there on the bottom and then pulled off. These things give me so much trouble. Oh, then we need to take this big white one off right here. It's right here. Push this down really hard, or push it down with the screwdriver and then pry a little bit, and then that will come out. Now what I'm going to do is leave these wires through here until I get the motor loosened up a little bit. Then I can kind of feed them out through the inside. On the distributor, at the bottom of the distributor down here, there's a grounding wire that's plugged in there. There, it has a little button on it also. Little button that has to be pushed down. Coil wire for the distributor. Take that off. You'll have to take the oxygen sensor wire off right here. Had to pry on that one with my screwdriver, but I got it off. Going to take these throttle cables off here. If I leave these two bolts exactly where they are, then it should be adjusted already when I put it back in. Can I do this with one hand and hold the camera with one hand? Almost, but not quite. I need two hands. Alright, anyway, take those two cables off. This wire from the alternator needs to be unplugged also. Now, looks like I have all my wires. Okay, next thing I need to do is take out these two spring bolts to loosen up my exhaust pipe. Okay, the exhaust is loose. Next, I'm going to take out this one and this one, and this one and this one, and remove this whole brace right out of here. Okay, I got that piece out, laying down right over there. On the right hand side, I got this blue piece here. It also has, I think it has 4 bolts in it, but I need to loosen up all the bolts on that so the whole thing will be loose. It doesn't have to come all the way off, it just has to be completely loose. Next, there's a little bolt that holds on this plate on the back of the engine, between the bell housing and the engine. I'm going to take that out and then take this plate off. There we go. Take that out. Okay, next, it's a little bit of challenge. Some of it I can do from the top, some I can do from the bottom, but that starter motor has to come out of there. Okay, the starter motor's loose. Very difficult to get into those bolts. Next, I want to take the fuel line off, but the fuel line runs down here and curves underneath this EGR tube. I could take the fuel line off down below, but it's really hard to reach up in there with 217 wrenches. So I think the easiest thing to do is just to go ahead and take the EGR tube off and then take the fuel line off from the top. Alright, there's the EGR tube. I got these two plug-ins from the transmission unplugged so that I could get my hand down there. Those are also a challenge. You got to squeeze in just the right spot.